Today we have Vasundhara Jain with us, and she will be talking about a very interesting topic, economics in our interpersonal relationships. Vasundhara started MyAnalysers, which is a KPO which provides research support. Her company was incubated at IIM Bangalore, and it is recognized by the US Embassy. Before MyAnalysers, she had worked as an economics consultant and strategy and, which is a part of PwC UK, where she worked on various projects in health, local government, hospitality, and transport sectors. Her academic research articles have been published by the likes of PricewaterhouseCoopers, Journal of Economic Policy and Research, and International Journal of Economics and Research. Vasundhara has an avid interest in creative writing, which brought her to the crossroads of analyzing traditional questions from the lens of economics. Economics is pretty much everywhere, right? So you can pretty much analyze everything, every single thing that you see and we are a part of in our daily lives. And our interpersonal relationships, they are not also an exception. Right. So in this lecture, Vasundhara will focus on that, and she will discuss, how economic theory and economic concepts and models can be wonderfully applied to explain our interpersonal relationships and why, in relationship, people take certain decisions that they do.
As years went by, I realized it wasn't just something personal that I thought. It was, in fact, a global phenomena that across globe people had realized and were actually operating in that sense that economics has very strong overlaps with different fields, and it has such interesting overlaps that it leads to emergence of very new and novel fields which are very, very applicable and useful. So starting from that point, we will talk about economics and how it applies in our interpersonal relationships. And it's very, very interesting to see that long gone are the times when traditional economics was the only kind of economics we knew. With years passing by, more and more different fields are merging in with economics, more and more new sectors and avenues are opening up. There must be a lot of different things that people are looking out for when they meet different people. And the truth I only realized when I actually went into research and started looking at what had different people studied, what are these attributes that people look for. And it turned out, after looking at 14 different studies from the fields of economics, psychology, popular studies, well-known studies, there were 100 different personality traits. So it's not even 2 or 3 or 10. There were 100 different personality traits that people look out for, and people had, researchers had thought this is worth studying. 100 is a lot. So in terms of analyzing as an individual, it's difficult to say, oh, of these 100 traits, what am I looking for? What is the priority, right? So to make things a bit simpler, we've taken these 100 traits and consolidated into 9 main traits. To really know what subconsciously a person is looking for, I've actually set up a questionnaire. So this questionnaire will sets up situational questions in regards to the relationships that people have, and within that, the different responses that people can have when they are meeting people. And the interesting thing is that when you get the answer out of this questionnaire, a lot of times the answer is not what you might have thought, right? And that is called individual revealed preferences. Whether we want to go with our stated beliefs or we want to go with our underlying beliefs, we still have to go and take a decision. And when we go into a situation where we have to take a decision, let's look at what might happen. It's simply because he has food and water. This donkey is not able to go to either of the two. So does this happen? Why does this happen to the donkey, right? I know Buridan was a philosopher. He proposed it, but he's no different from an economics person, because what he's really talking about is assessing opportunity costs. I do want to point out another thing, that what you've done is taken a safe route, right? So with the Oscar winner, if somebody buys a ticket to an Oscar winner, then in this case, it's a safe route, because whether you go alone or with a friend, the payoff is going to be similar, right? It's a no risk strategy. It's a safe strategy. You will, either way, you are going to get that return. But if someone were a bit more of a risk taker, they would have bought the Godfather, right? They would have bought the Godfather because you might get a utility of 10 with a friend on the right side. But you might be taking a little bit of a risk, and you might have to end up going alone for the Godfather and get a utility of 8. So that is a bit more risk-taking strategy. And obviously, based on the kind of strategy an individual wants to, go with, they would choose what movie they commit to anyway. But for somebody who keeps all their options open and is comparing very, very different options without commitment to any kind of strategy, in the end, they might not get any utility at all. That there is an aspect of a social information, right? Public information that is in the public domain, that others are either deciding or conveying to us. And then there is another aspect of this concept where there is a private signal. That is basically something we have private information about, and as an individual, we might know. So it's a very clear example of how people, when they're taking decisions, something which is literally black and white, even then they're not able to decide and keep their own head straight. So something to be aware of. We see herding in our interpersonal situations as well. For example, there is this saying that all eligible men are already taken, right? And that's also, in a sense, it's about herding, because there is public information that there is somebody who is a person, eligible and good person to be with. And because of that public information, everyone else is kind of also flocking to that same kind of situation. Once things catch on, they just catch on also because of this kind of informational cascade, right? Our public information is not even real public information. Our public information is that, like, that subset of public information that caught on and became so big that it may not even be the real public information. I'm not at all trying to say we have to operate a one way or another, or one thing is right or another. These are just things or ways of looking at concepts, right? So even every concept in economics we might study in a book, but we take it to a situation and then we see, is this helping us or not, right? From a context, especially when it involves people, right? When it comes to stock markets, or when it comes to macroeconomic analysis, it's different because it has more rigorous systems. But when it comes to individuals, there is also the irrational human being who does not always work like a theory. So, and every individual is different. So when we take this concept, and it's for us to see that, is it affecting us? And if it's affecting us, do we want to look at things in a different way? Are we doing things just because society has asked us, or is it also making sense, right? So society asks us to, in a way, study, right, get our education at least till 12th. And is that insensible? Are we going to question everything? I think it's a very sensible thing personally to study till 12th. It sets up everybody for, from that adolescence into adulthood. So it's up to us how much we want to question what we think is a herd behavior and therefore change our response or not. Even if herding takes place, it's not that everybody in the world is herding, right? Herding is taking place in smaller places. When we talk to people across different backgrounds, we are able to see maybe they are herding in a different way, right? But that way we can assess, why do they not believe in what people around me are believing in? And I think that helps us in validating whether the herding that our society or our public people who are providing our public information, they are doing, is it valid? Is it worth it? Do we need to take a step outside? And I think at the same time, we have to make sure our private information can be assessed, right? And obviously, we've not spoken about everything exhaustively. It's not possible. Therefore, within each of these categories, we've picked up few concepts and spoken about them. Hopefully, you will find it useful and relevant when you are in these kind of situations, which all of us are in actually on a daily basis.